Hi, welcome. It's time for my campaign update, and this is the state of my campaign part one of my campaign update for this week. We're coming to the end of 2025. I never could imagine I was going to ever be here at this place doing these things and running for president, or being a presidential candidate, not even running. So I've already been a candidate twice, and I'm going to try again in 2028. But, in 2028. So, my name is Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki. I am a candidate still from the 2024 presidential election. I have not conceded because we have so much fraud and corruption in the system that it is impossible for me to concede the election. I do not know if President Trump is actually supposed to be our president. That's how much fraud there is. So as we go through each day and each week and each month of this year, as we move away from the 2024 presidential election, well, and even during 2022, we started seeing the exposure of the amount of fraud in the system. Now, we all knew, and I know, there's fraud. We've all experienced it in one way or another. Some of us have experienced it in every way, shape, and form, whereas others have had one or two experiences, or they heard somebody, or they know somebody, or their sister, their brother, their cousin had the experience of not having their vote counted, having heard somebody voted for them, and so on. And nobody does anything. Nobody does anything. You just allow the abuse to continue. And the abuse is being done by the exact people that supposedly we voted for. So I didn't vote for the Democrats and the Republicans. I voted for people that I liked, and my vote got thrown out. I was running as a non-party politician, if you want to call it that. I mean, I hate that word politician. A stateswoman is what I like. But I was running as just myself, not in any one party. I have leanings towards different things, but not in any one party. And, the amount of fraud in the system, I already felt, I've been feeling it ever since I started voting. Starting with signing up before I was even 18 years old, and then having like mock elections where then, the information can be given to the parties, but then also being restricted to only two parties that get counted. No one in the Green Party has ever held any position of matter anywhere. Anywhere, no place in our government. Ever. And also with the Libertarian Party. And also with the Tea Party and all the other parties out there. We've got more than two parties. That's where we got to begin. And the problem is we watch the Democrats and the Republicans collect all this money every year. But during the last presidential election, they were getting money hand over fist from everywhere, from every location, from every lobbyist, and they were spending it somewhere. They were spending it on the TV and radio stations so that they wouldn't cover the rest of the people running for office. I finally figured out where they're putting that money. They're shutting up all the news agencies so that they don't cover anyone else until the very end. I don't know if you notice, it's the second time I've noticed this, but election is going on, and you hear Democrat, Republican constantly, and then a week before the end of the election, just before the really election day happens, Suddenly, you might hear one story of a Green Party person or one story of a Libertarian, and that's it. And then it's done. It's done. And if you're a woman, you don't get covered at all. I mean, really, barely. So, folks, we do not have a democracy. We have a dictatorship. And it's called the Democrats and Republicans who are working together. And they got scared back when Ross Perot ran, and he did well in the election, but not well enough to win. And that made them start cheating even more than what they had already been doing. And manipulating the votes and making sure that only Democrats and Republicans get in. So instead of losing complete power, they decided to work together. And they make it seem like they're two separate things, but they're not. It's one party with two sides. It's like a coin. And one year it's this one year it's that one. And, they determine how the public is. Do they want change there or not? But the other thing is, we're only seeing now that Trump is in office, real change coming. We're seeing how our government really works, and it works well because, he has some ideas and puts them out there. And then the courts need to decide if what he's doing is okay or not. So they are actually doing their job for once. And then if the courts decide, yes, he's correct, then Congress needs to do the necessary paperwork. And so this is how our system works. Checks and balances, three heads, and so it is working. It's just messy. And it's good because, we all get to participate in the information and decide for ourselves what we think is right and wrong. So, as whatever, at the beginning in 2020, first getting signed up before I was 18 was illegal. And then I know that when I went in to vote that first time, there were other things than just like a president to vote for, like a bill about my town and what they wanted to spend money on. And I was not informed. And this was way back in 80-something. And, I was also living in New York City, and we were constantly, and going to school, and we were constantly being bombarded with people saying, hey, do you want to register to vote? And, I registered to vote, I don't know how many times in New York City when I was in New York City. And, so I could be registered everywhere in New York. And as I've also learned is that if you don't do the procedure, they precisely tell you how to deregister from them, and you have to deregister, right? Otherwise you'll stay registered, and then they have a name to use to vote with, right? So I don't know how many different places I'm registered to vote in New York City. I hope I canceled them all. I think I did, but I cannot be 100%. I've looked and looked and looked and tried to find different ways of where I'm registered. But, they have so many different ways of just making a misspelling, and then they have a new person. So, there's no checks and balances on that list. That's the biggest problem. None. And people can be registered in multiple states very easily because there's no checks and balances between the states. And then, there's, also, wealthy people have more than one home, and so of course they want to vote in all those places, and they probably do. They're probably registered in all those places too. So, folks, our election system is not set up in a good way. And there is cheating going on everywhere, in every state, in every election. And it's not acceptable. Our forefathers did not fight for independence so that we could be cheating on our voting system now, so that our voices, not all U.S. citizen voices, are being heard. This is just unacceptable. And the Supreme Court has my lawsuit, It's still pending. And so I call on the Supreme Court to act, and let's declare this past election fraudulent. You're slowly going through all the different processes that I talked about in my first lawsuit, and you know that it's fraudulent. So let's just cut to the chase, and let's get a new election going. It's time. You know, we cannot have illegal people in office. It's just not acceptable. It's as un-USA as you can get, really. Un-USA. So, Supreme Court, I call on you to make a ruling. We're going into yet another year and yet another election. And this is just, it's crazy. So, yeah. The other part of my campaign is fine. I'm doing a little bit of my artwork too, so I'm getting back to my Smiles for Peace, which is what got me to run for president in the first place, to be a presidential candidate. And my dream was to bring peace, or at least promote peace. And, Trump knows about my dream, and he's doing that. And so, I can't, even though I don't know if he's the rightful president in office, I cannot say he's doing a bad job. He is a president of peace, promoting peace and settling peaceful issues. So that part, he's doing all right. But it's about integrity. We cannot look at ourselves in the face and say we are U.S. citizens of a country worth our opinion, because we got so much corruption. And the people who are the most corrupt are the ones in office. So we need to end this, or at least the ones in the parties, in the Democrats and the Republicans. They all need to go, and we need to start fresh with a new system. So anyways, I'm working at the peace process from different sides too. Donald Trump is also working on it, and so my campaign is doing just fine. All is well. I don't have any donations in this last little while, so nothing to really add to my finances, which is fine with me. And that's about it. So as far as campaigning goes, that's the end of part 1. Part 2 is coming up. State of the Union. Thanks for stopping by. Bye for now. Oh, by the way, you can find out more about me on many platforms, or at my website. You can find out which platforms. It's Susan4USA.com. That's Susan, the number 4USA.com. And you have to understand, Facebook's doing some funny things again. They won't let me get back into my old accounts. So now I'm really in my new account, but you can access it through the website. All right. So State of the Union is next. Bye for now.